I woke up to a beautiful alien nurse treating me. She smiled and said, "You're fine." Sarah Chen's eyes opened slowly. The world around her looked strange and blurry. Soft blue light filled the room. She tried to move but felt weak. Her body felt heavy, like she had been sleeping for a very long time. "Hello there," said a gentle voice. "Please stay calm. You are safe now." Sarah turned her head toward the voice. A tall figure stood beside her bed. The being had smooth, pale blue skin that seemed to glow softly. Large, kind eyes looked down at her with concern. The creature had long fingers and wore white robes that seemed to float around her body. Who are you?" Sarah asked. Her voice came out as a whisper. The alien smiled. Her face showed warmth and kindness. "My name is Zara. I am a healer. You are in our medical center. You have been very sick, but you are fine now." Sarah tried to sit up. Her head felt dizzy. "Where am I? What happened to my ship, my crew?" Zara gently pressed Sarah back down onto the soft bed. "Please rest. You need to heal more. I will explain everything." Sarah looked around the room. The walls were smooth and curved. Strange machines made soft humming sounds. Other beds held different alien beings. Some had scales, others had fur. All of them looked peaceful as they rested. "This is a Veltharian medical ship," Zara explained. "We found your vessel 3 weeks ago. It was floating in space with no power. Your life support systems had failed." 3 weeks? Sarah's eyes grew wide. "That's impossible. No human can survive that long without proper life support." Zara's expression changed. She looked puzzled. "Yes, that is what we thought too. But here you are, alive and healing well." A door opened with a soft sound. Another alien entered the room. This one was taller than Zara and wore darker robes. His skin had a silver color, and his eyes were more serious. "This is Dr. Keth," Zara said. "He is our chief medical officer." Dr. Keth approached Sarah's bed. He held a small device that glowed with blue light. "Fascinating," he said in a deep voice. "Your body readings are still very unusual." "What do you mean unusual?" Sarah asked. Dr. Keth looked at Zara, then back at Sarah. "When we found you, your body was fighting a space pathogen. This disease kills most beings within hours. You had it for weeks, yet you lived." Sarah felt confused. "I don't understand. What kind of pathogen?" "We call it the void sickness." Zara explained. "It comes from deep space. No known species can survive it for long. But your immune system did something we have never seen before." Dr. Keth nodded. "Your body learned to fight the disease. It changed itself to become stronger. This should not be possible." Sarah thought about her crew. "What about the others? Were there other humans on my ship?" Zara's expression became sad. "You were alone when we found you. We searched the entire vessel. There were signs that others had been there, but they were gone." Sarah closed her eyes. She remembered the mission now. They had been exploring a new star system. Something went wrong with the engines. There was an explosion. Her teammates told her to get to the emergency pod while they tried to fix the ship. "They saved me," Sarah whispered. "They made sure I got to safety before the ship was destroyed." Zara touched Sarah's hand gently. "They must have cared about you very much." Sarah opened her eyes. "I need to contact my people. They need to know what happened." Dr. Keth shook his head. "Your communication systems were damaged. We are still many days away from any human territory. You must rest and recover first." Sarah tried to sit up again. "But I feel fine. Really, I do." "Your body has been through great stress," Zara said. "You need time to heal properly." Sarah looked around the medical bay again. She saw other patients. In their beds, some looked very sick. One alien in the corner was breathing heavily. Another seemed to be in pain. "Can I help?" Sarah asked. "I have medical training." "Basic field medicine." Dr. Keth looked surprised. "You wish to help others? Even though you are still recovering?" "Of course," Sarah said. "That's what we do. We help each other." Zara and Dr. Keth exchanged glances. This behavior seemed strange to them. "In our culture," Dr. Keth explained, "patients focus only on their own healing. They do not concern themselves with others until they are completely well." Sarah frowned. But that doesn't make sense. If I can help someone feel better, why wouldn't I? Zara helped Sarah sit up slowly. You are very different from other species. We have met. Different how? Sarah asked. Most beings think of themselves first, Zara said. But you think of others even when you are hurt. Sarah shrugged. That's just being human, I guess. Dr. Keth made notes on his device. We would like to study your recovery more. Your species may have abilities we do not understand. Study me. All you want, Sarah said. But let me help your patients too. I promise I'll be careful. Sarah smiled again. I think we can allow that. But you must promise to rest when you feel tired. Deal? Sarah said as Zara helped Sarah stand up slowly. She felt stronger than she expected. Her body seemed to be healing faster than normal. She didn't understand why, but she felt grateful to be alive. Thank you, Sarah said to both aliens, for saving my life and taking care of me. It is our duty to help those in need, Dr. Keth said. Maybe, Sarah replied. But you didn't have to be so kind about it. Zara looked puzzled again. What do you mean? You could have just kept me alive, Sarah explained. But you made me feel welcome. You treated me like family. This is how we treat all patients, Zara said. Sarah smiled. Then your people must be very special. As Sarah took her first steps around the medical bay, she had no idea that her presence would soon change everything for the Viltharian people. She only knew that she was alive, she was grateful, and she wanted to help others feel better. That was enough for now. 3 days passed since Sarah woke up in the Viltharian medical bay. Dr. Keth checked his readings again and shook his head in disbelief. The small device in his hands showed numbers. That should not be possible. Zara, come look at this, he called. To the nurse, Zara floated over to where Dr. Keth stood beside Sarah's bed. Sarah was sitting up, helping a young alien patient with spotted for a drink some healing liquid. What is wrong, doctor? Zara asked. Dr. Keth showed her the device. Her healing rate has increased again. Yesterday she was healing twice as fast as normal. Today it is 4 times faster. Zara looked surprised. That cannot be right. Check the machine. I have checked it 5 times, Dr. Keth said. The machine works perfectly. It is the human that defies explanation. Sarah heard them talking and walked over. She moved easily now, with no sign of weakness. Is something wrong with my test results? Dr. Keth stared at her. Sarah, when you arrived, your body was full of void sickness. This pathogen should have destroyed your organs within days. But I feel great, Sarah said. Better than great. Actually, I feel stronger than before. That is impossible, Dr. Keth muttered. Void sickness does not make beings stronger. It destroys them. Zara touched Sarah's arm gently. May we run more tests? We need to understand what is happening. Sure, Sarah agreed. But can I keep helping the other patients while you work? Dr. Keth looked confused. You want to continue working while you are being tested. Why not? Sarah asked. I'm not doing anything else, and these people need help. Over. The next hour, Dr. Keth ran every test he could think of. The results amazed him. Sarah's blood showed something incredible. Her immune system had not just fought off the void sickness. It had learned from it. Her body now produced special cells that could fight diseases no Viltharian had ever seen before. This is remarkable, Dr. Keth told Zara quietly. Her immune system has evolved in just 3 weeks. It created new defenses. How's that possible? Zara asked. I do not know, Dr. Keth admitted. Human biology is far more adaptive than we thought. Meanwhile, Sarah was busy helping patients throughout the medical bay. She had noticed that one elderly alien with green scales was having trouble breathing. The Viltharian doctors had given him medicine, but it was not working well. Sarah sat beside the old alien's bed. Hi there, I'm Sarah. What's your name? The alien looked at her with tired eyes. I'm Vex, he said slowly. Hard to breathe. Sarah looked at how Vex was lying in his bed. She had an idea. Vex, can you sit up for me? Too weak. Vex replied. Sarah gently helped Vex sit up and lean forward slightly. Then she showed him how to breathe differently. Try breathing in slowly through your nose, then out through your mouth. Like this, Sarah demonstrated the breathing technique. Vex tried to copy her movements. Good, Sarah encouraged. Now let's try tapping your back gently. This helps move the fluid in your lungs. She showed Vex's family member how to do gentle back tapping. Within minutes, Vex was breathing easier. Dr. Keth watched this from across the room. He had never seen this technique before. What is she doing? He asked Zara. Some kind of human healing method, Zara replied. Look how much better Vex is breathing. Doctor. Keth walked over to Sarah. What technique is this? Just basic field medicine, Sarah explained. When someone has fluid in their lungs, changing position and breathing exercises can help. We also use percussion therapy, the gentle tapping, to loosen things up. We have not seen this method before, Dr. Keth said. Sarah looked surprised. Really? It's pretty simple. We've been using techniques like this for hundreds of years. Dr. Keth made notes on his device. Can you show me other human healing methods? Of course. Sarah said. She moved to another patient, a small alien child, with purple skin who was crying softly. What's wrong with her? Sarah asked the child's parent. She has pain in her stomach, the parent explained. The medicine helps, but she is still uncomfortable. Sarah knelt beside the small bed. Hey there, little one. Can I try something that might help? The child looked at Sarah with big, curious eyes. Sarah gently placed her warm hands on the child's stomach. This is called therapeutic touch. Sometimes, warmth and gentle pressure can help with pain. She began to rub the child's stomach in slow, circular motions. We're going to imagine the pain floating away like clouds in the sky. The child stopped crying and watched Sarah's hands. Slowly, her tense body began to relax. How do you know to do this? The parent asked. My grandmother taught me, Sarah said. She said healing is not just about medicine. It's about caring for the whole person. Dr. Keth observed Sarah helping. Patient after patient, she used simple techniques that the Veltharians had never considered. She talked to patients about their fears. She held their hands when they were scared. She made them laugh when they felt sad. Fascinating, Dr. Keth told Sarah. She treats not just the illness, but the emotional state of the patient. Our medical training focuses on the physical body, Sarah said. We do not learn about emotional healing. Perhaps we should, Dr. Keth replied. By the end of the day, every patient in the medical bay was feeling better, not just because of the regular treatments, but because of Sarah's care and attention. A young Veltharian doctor named Kel approached Sarah. Can you teach me these human techniques? Absolutely, Sarah said. But remember, the most important part is not the technique. It's showing people that you care about them. I do not understand. Kel said. Sarah smiled. When people feel cared for, their bodies feel better. When they have hope, they fight harder to get well. That's the real medicine. Dr. Keth pulled Sarah aside. Her test results came back. The void sickness is completely gone from her system. Not just controlled, completely eliminated. How? Sarah asked. Her body created antibodies we have never seen before. She is now immune to dozens of space pathogens that would kill most beings. Sarah looked at Sarah, who was teaching a group of young Veltharian nurses how to help patients relax before treatments. She is extraordinary, Sarah said. Yes, Dr. Keth agreed. But I think there is more to learn about humans. Much more. As night fell on the medical ship, Sarah finally agreed to rest. But even as she slept, her body continued its remarkable healing process. Her immune system grew stronger, creating new defenses against threats that had not even been discovered yet. The other patients slept better that night too, for the first time in weeks. The medical bay was filled with peace and hope instead of worry and fear. Sarah had brought something special to their ship, something the Veltharians were only beginning to understand. Word about the strange humans spread quickly through the Veltharian ship. Crew members who had never visited the medical bay found reasons to walk past its doors. They wanted to see the being who had survived the impossible. Captain Thane, commander of the vessel, received daily reports about Sarah from Dr. Keth. Each report made him more curious about this human. She has been teaching our medical staff new techniques, Dr. Keth explained during their morning meeting. Patient recovery times have improved by 30%. Captain Thane raised his silver eyebrows. 30% in just 1 week. Yes, Captain. But that is not the most interesting part. What do you mean? Dr. Keth looked at his notes. She has changed how our staff thinks about their work. They are asking questions they never asked before. They are trying new approaches. Is this good or bad? Captain Thane asked. I believe it is very good, Dr. Keth replied. But it is also very different from our usual way. Meanwhile, in the medical bay, Sarah was helping a young Veltharian engineer named Nix. Nix had been injured while repairing ship systems. His arm was healing well, but he seemed worried about something. What's troubling you? Sarah asked as she checked his bandages. I made a mistake while fixing the power grid, Nix said sadly. I followed all the proper procedures, but something still went wrong. Sarah sat down beside his bed. Tell me what happened. Nix explained how he had followed the repair manual exactly. Every step was done correctly. But the system still failed, and he got hurt when it overloaded. Maybe the manual was wrong. Sarah suggested. Nix looked shocked. The manual cannot be wrong. It was written by our best engineers. We always follow the manuals exactly. But if following the manual led to an accident, maybe there's a better way, Sarah said. I do not understand, Nix replied. Sarah smiled. Sometimes the best solution is not in any book. Sometimes you have to think of something new. How do you think of something new? Nix asked. By asking different questions, Sarah explained. Instead of asking, what does the manual say? You ask, what is the real problem here? Then you think of all the possible ways to solve it. This conversation changed something in Nix's mind. He had never thought about questioning the manuals before. 2 days later, alarms started blaring throughout the ship. Red lights flashed in the hallways. Sarah looked up from helping a patient. What's happening? She asked Sarah. Sarah's face showed worry. Critical system failure. The main power distributor for the medical bay is failing. Dr. Keth rushed into the room. We need to evacuate all patients immediately. If the power fails completely, our life support machines will stop working. Sarah looked around at all the patients. Some were too sick to be moved safely. How long do we have? Maybe 2 hours, Dr. Keth said. The engineering team is trying to fix it, but they say it will take at least 4 hours. Can we move everyone to other parts of the ship? Sarah asked. There is no room, Sarah explained. The other medical bays are full, and some of our patients are too fragile to move. Sarah thought quickly. What exactly is broken? Dr. Keth looked confused. The power distributor. It controls electricity to all our medical equipment. Can I see it? Sarah asked. You are not an engineer, Dr. Keth said. No, but I might see something your engineers missed. Sarah replied. Dr. Keth hesitated, then nodded. Follow me. They went to a room filled with complex machinery. 3 Veltharian engineers stood around a large metal box, looking frustrated. The lead engineer, Commander Vec, was reading from a thick manual. We have tried everything in the repair guide, Commander Vec told Dr. Keth. The main circuit board is damaged beyond repair. We need to replace it completely. How long will that take? Dr. Keth asked. 6 hours to get a new part from storage and install it properly. Commander Vec replied. Sarah stepped closer to look at the broken machine. May I? Commander Vec looked annoyed. You are not qualified to work on ship systems. I'm not trying to fix your machine, Sarah said. I'm just looking for another way to solve the problem. She studied the power distributor carefully. It was much more complex than human technology, but the basic idea was the same. Electricity came in, got organized, and went out to different places. What if we don't fix this machine? Sarah asked. All the engineers stared at her. What do you mean? Commander Vec asked. What if we bypass it completely? Sarah explained. Run power directly to the medical bay from a different source. That is not how it is done. Commander Vec said firmly. Sarah noticed Nix standing nearby. He had come down from the medical bay despite his injured arm. Nix, Sarah called. You work with power systems, right? Yes, Nix said. Is there another way to get electricity to the medical bay? Sarah asked. Nix thought for a moment. Well, There are emergency power lines that run to every section of the ship, but they are only meant for basic lighting during disasters. Could we use multiple emergency lines together? Sarah asked. Commander Vec shook his head. The emergency lines are not designed for medical equipment. It would not work. Why not? Sarah pressed. Because it is not in the procedures, Commander Vec said. But he sounded less certain. Sarah looked at Nix. What do you think? Forget the procedures for a minute. Is it physically possible? Nix's eyes lit up. Actually, if we combine 3 emergency lines and use some regulators to smooth out the power, it might work. That is not a standard solution, Commander Vec protested, but it could save lives. Sarah said, and we can always switch back to the main system once you fix it. Dr. Keth looked at the clock on the wall. We have 90 minutes. Before the current power fails completely, Nix stepped forward. I can try to set up the bypass. It will not be perfect, but it should work for a few hours. Commander Vic looked uncertain. This goes against all our training. Sometimes, Sarah said gently, the best solution is the one nobody has tried before. Nix and 2 other young engineers started working on Sarah's idea. They connected cables in ways that were not in any manual. They used spare parts from storage to create new connections. Commander Vic watched nervously. This is very irregular. But, look, Dr. Keth said, pointing to a display. It is working. Power levels are stable. Within an hour, they had created a working bypass. The medical bay had reliable power again. All the patients were safe. Incredible, Commander Vec muttered. I never would have thought of this approach. That's because you were thinking inside the box, Sarah said. Sometimes you have to step outside and look at the whole picture. Nix beamed with pride. We solved a problem that was not in any textbook. Dr. Keth sent a report to Captain Thane about what had happened. The captain read it twice, amazed. She convinced our engineers to ignore their training and try something completely new? He asked Dr. Keth. Yes, and it saved dozens of lives. Dr. Keth replied. This human is changing how our people think, Captain Thane observed. Is that bad? Dr. Keth asked. Captain Thane was quiet for a long moment. I do not know yet, but I am very curious to see what happens next. Back in the medical bay, Sarah continued helping patients, but now she was also teaching Veltharian crew members to think differently, to ask new questions, to try new solutions. The ripples of change were spreading throughout the ship, touching every department and every person who met the remarkable human who refused to accept that anything was truly impossible. 3 ships appeared on the horizon of space, moving toward Captain Thane's vessel. Their hulls gleamed with silver and blue designs. That marked them as ships of the Veltharian High Council. Sarah watched through the medical bay's viewing window. As the massive ships approached, the council has come to see you, Sarah told Sarah quietly. Word of your abilities has reached the highest levels of our government. Sarah felt nervous. What do they want? To study you, Dr. Keth explained as he joined them. The council believes you might hold answers to problems we have faced for many years. What kind of problems? Sarah asked. Dr. Keth and Sarah exchanged worried looks. Perhaps it is better if High Counselor Yara explains herself, Sarah said. An hour later, the docking bay filled with formal ceremony. High Counselor Yara entered the ship with a group of advisors. She was tall and elegant, with skin that shimmered like starlight. Her robes were decorated with symbols of great importance. Captain Thane led the council delegation to the medical bay. Sarah stood waiting, wearing simple clothes that Sarah had given her. She felt very small next to all these important aliens. So you are the human who has caused such discussion among our people, High Counselor Yara said. Her voice was calm but tired. I'm just Sarah, Sarah replied. I've been trying to help where I can. High Counselor Yara studied Sarah carefully. Dr. Keth tells us you have survived diseases that should have killed you. You have healed faster than any known species. You have taught our people new ways of thinking. I guess so, Sarah said. But I don't understand why that's so important. The High Counselor gestured to her advisors. Show her the records. One advisor activated a holographic display. Images filled the air showing Veltharian cities. But they looked empty and sad. The buildings were beautiful, but few people walked them. Streets. Our civilization is dying, High Counselor Yara said simply. Sarah stared at the images. Dying. But you have such advanced technology. Your medical knowledge is incredible. Technology cannot solve every problem, the High Counselor explained. 50 years ago, a genetic plague spread through our people. It did not kill us, but it changed us. We can no longer have children. Sarah felt her heart sink. I'm so sorry. That's terrible. Our best scientists have worked for decades to find a cure. High Counselor Yara continued. They have tried every possible medical solution. Nothing works. Dr. Kath stepped forward. We hope that studying your remarkable immune system might give us new ideas. Sarah looked at all the sad faces around her. Of course you can study me. But can I ask you something? What is it? The High Counselor asked. When did your people stop having children? Before the plague or after? The High Counselor looked confused. The plague caused the sterility. It happened at the same time. But which came first? Sarah pressed gently. Were people already having fewer children before the plague hit? The advisors whispered among themselves. One of them, an elderly Veltharian, with white skin, spoke up. Actually, yes, birth rates had been declining for 20 years before the plague. Sarah nodded thoughtfully. And how were people feeling during that time? Happy? Hopeful? Our society was becoming more rigid, the elderly advisor admitted. People followed rules strictly. There was less creativity, less joy. Many young people felt there was no point in having families because they had lost hope. Sarah said quietly. High Counselor Yara frowned. What are you suggesting? Sarah chose her words carefully. On my world, we've learned that the mind and body are connected. When people lose hope, their bodies sometimes stop working properly. Sometimes they stop wanting to create new life. You think our sterility is psychological? Dr. Kath asked. Maybe partly, Sarah said. Your plague might have been the final trigger, but the real problem started earlier. When your people stopped believing in the future. High Counselor Yara looked offended. Our medical experts have examined every possibility. The cause is clearly biological. I'm not saying you're wrong about the biology, Sarah said. But maybe you need to heal more than just bodies. Maybe you need to heal spirits too. The room fell silent. This was not what the council had expected to hear. How does one heal a spirit? Sarah asked. Sarah smiled. By giving people reasons to hope again. By helping them remember what makes life worth living. That sounds like fantasy, not medicine, one of the advisors said. Let me try something. Sarah suggested. Give me 2 weeks. Let me work with some of your people. Not as a doctor, but as a friend. Let me show you what I mean. High Counselor Yara considered this. What exactly would you do? Simple things, Sarah said. I'd like to organize activities where people can share stories about their dreams. I want to set up projects where different generations work together. I want to help people remember what they love about life. This seems pointless, another advisor muttered. But Captain Thane stepped forward. High Counselor, this human has already changed how my crew thinks and works. Perhaps we should listen to her ideas. Dr. Kath nodded. Her methods have improved. Patient recovery throughout the ship. There might be wisdom in what she suggests. High Counselor Yara was quiet for a long time. Finally, she spoke. Very well, you have 2 weeks. But I did not expect much from these social activities. Sarah spent the next few days planning. She asked Sarah and Dr. Kath to help her organize different events. They started with simple storytelling sessions where older Veltharians shared memories of happier times. At first, only a few people came. They sat quietly and listened politely. But as the stories continued, something began to change. People started smiling. They began sharing their own memories. Sarah organized art projects where crew members worked together to create beautiful decorations for the ship. She set up music sessions where people taught each other songs from their childhood. Most importantly, she created dream workshops where people talked about what they hoped for in the future. At first, many said they had no dreams, but slowly, carefully, Sarah helped them remember forgotten wishes. Young engineer Nix talked about wanting to design ships that could explore distant galaxies. An elderly cook named Mira shared her dream of teaching traditional recipes to young people. Even serious Dr. Keth admitted he had always wanted to write poetry. These dreams feel impossible now, Mira said sadly. Why impossible? Sarah asked. Because we are the last generation, Mira replied. There will be no one to carry on our traditions. Sarah looked around at all the faces in the room. What if that's not true? What if there's still hope? But the plague made us sterile, Nix said. Maybe, Sarah replied. But what if the plague was like a lock, and hope is the key? What if believing in the future again could unlock something your doctors haven't found yet? The room was quiet, but for the first time in decades, some Veltharians began to wonder if their story might not be over after all. High Counselor Yara watched these activities from a distance. She saw her people laughing and creating together. She saw them talking about dreams instead of just duties. Something was changing. Something that had nothing to do with medicine or technology. Something that might be the beginning of a miracle. 6 months had passed since Sarah's first dream workshop. The Veltharian ship had changed completely. Hallways that once echoed with only the sounds of work now filled with laughter and conversation. Art decorated the walls. Music drifted from common areas where people gathered to share stories and ideas. Sarah walked through the ship's garden level, a beautiful space she had helped design. Veltharians of all ages worked together, growing flowers and food. Children who had seemed lost and hopeless now played among the plants, their eyes bright with curiosity. Sarah called a familiar voice. Young engineer Nix ran toward her, his face glowing with excitement. You need to come quickly. What's happening? Sarah asked. It's Lyra and Kez, Nix said breathlessly. Come to the medical bay now. Sarah hurried after Nix, wondering what could have him so excited. When they reached the medical bay, she found a crowd of Veltharians gathered around one of the beds. Dr. Keth stood in the center, holding a small scanning device. His hands were shaking. What's going on? Sarah asked Zara. Zara turned to her with tears of joy in her large eyes. Sarah, it's a miracle. Lyra is pregnant. Sarah felt her heart stop. Pregnant? But I thought. So did we, Dr. Keth said, his voice filled with wonder. The scans show a healthy developing child. After 50 years of sterility, new life has begun. Lyra, a young Veltharian with silver-blue skin, lay on the bed holding hands with her partner Kez. Both of them looked amazed and terrified at the same time. How is this possible? High Counselor Yara asked. She had been living on the ship for the past 3 months, watching Sarah's work with growing interest. Dr. Keth shook his head. I have run every test I can think of. Lyra's body has somehow healed itself. The genetic damage from the plague is gone. When did you first notice the change? Sarah asked Lyra gently. Lyra smiled through her tears. About 2 months ago, I started feeling different, hopeful, like the future mattered again. Kez and I began talking about what kind of world we wanted to build together. We joined your storytelling group, Kez added. We started sharing our dreams about having a family someday. Even though we thought it was impossible, Sarah felt a warm feeling spread through her chest. You dared to hope again. But hope cannot cure genetic damage, one of the council advisors protested. Dr. Keth looked at his readings again. Actually, it might. Sarah's theory about the connection between mind and body appears to be correct. When Lyra began to believe in the future again, her body began healing itself. High Counselor Yara stared at the scanning device. Are you saying that decades of medical research failed because we were treating the wrong problem, not the wrong problem? Sarah said carefully. Just not the whole problem. You treated the physical symptoms, but you couldn't heal the emotional wounds. Over the next few days, more amazing news arrived. 3 other young couples reported that they were expecting children. Dr. Keth examined them all and found the same thing. Their bodies had healed the genetic damage naturally. It's spreading, Dr. Keth told Sarah excitedly, as word spreads about the pregnancies. More people are beginning to hope, and as they hope, their bodies are healing. Sarah watched from the observation deck as messages flew between Veltharian ships throughout their territory. The news of new life traveled faster than light itself. On every ship, in every colony. People began to whisper that maybe their species had a future after all. Captain Thane found Sarah standing at the window, looking out at the stars. "You have saved us," he said simply. Sarah shook her head. "I didn't save anyone. You saved yourselves. You just needed someone to remind you that you were worth saving." "Will you stay with us?" Captain Thane asked. "We could use your wisdom as we rebuild our civilization." Sarah was quiet for a long moment. "I need to go home. My people will be worried about me. They need to know what happened to my mission." "I understand," Captain Thane said. "But perhaps some of us could go with you to learn more about human ways?" "I would like that very much," Sarah replied. 3 weeks later, a beautiful new ship appeared in the docking bay. It was smaller than the Viltharian medical vessel, but built with care and love. Every surface gleamed with artistic designs that told the story of hope returning to a dying people. "This is our gift to you," High Counselor Yara explained to Sarah. "A ship to carry you home, built by hands that can now believe in tomorrow." Sarah felt tears in her eyes. "It's beautiful, but I can't accept something so valuable." "You gave us back our future," High Counselor Yara said. "No gift could ever repay that debt." Sarah stepped forward, carrying a small bag. "I would like to come with you, if you will have me. I want to learn more about human healing methods." Dr. Keth nodded. "And I wish to study how human psychology affects physical health. With your permission, I would like to join this journey." Young engineer Nix approached nervously. "I know I am not as important as the others, but I would love to see how humans build things. Could there be room for me?" Sarah looked at all the hopeful faces around her. "Of course, all of you are welcome." As they prepared to leave, Lyra came to say goodbye. Her pregnancy was progressing well, and her happiness glowed from within. "What will you name the baby?" Sarah asked. "Hope," Lyra said without hesitation. "In your language, we will call her Hope." Sarah hugged Lyra gently. "That's perfect." The new ship launched smoothly, carrying Sarah and her Viltharian friends toward human space. Behind them, the medical ship continued its journey, but now it carried something it had not held for 50 years, pregnant mothers, and the promise of new life. As they traveled through space, Sarah taught her companions about human culture. They shared stories, learned new songs, and talked about the future they would build together. "I still do not understand completely," Dr. Keth said one evening. "How did you know that hope could heal our bodies?" Sarah smiled. "Because that's what humans do. When everything seems impossible, we refuse to give up. We believe that tomorrow can be better than today. And sometimes that belief makes miracles happen." "Is this why humans survive so many dangers?" Sarah asked. "Maybe," Sarah replied. "We're not the strongest species, or the smartest, or the fastest, but we never stop hoping, and we help others hope too." Nix looked out at the stars streaming past their ship. "So hope is humanity's greatest gift." "Hope," Sarah said, "and the ability to share it with others. That's what makes us human." 3 months later, when they reached human space, Sarah's people welcomed the Viltharian delegation with open arms. The story of how a single human had saved an entire alien civilization spread quickly through the galaxy. But Sarah knew the real truth. She hadn't saved the Viltharians. She had simply reminded them that they were worth saving. And sometimes that reminder was the most powerful medicine of all.